The Full Send Racing Series rolls back into the U.S. here at Dover Motor Speedway. Welcome to the Racing Line Network once again. This is the Team Watson Racing Setups 170, once again here at Dover Motor Speedway. Qualifying currently underway, but before we take a look and see where everybody will be lining up for the start, let's take a look at the starting portion, or at least the opening portion of the schedule coming into this event. That is once it decides to cooperate. There we go. 3 races currently in the books. We have since went from Daytona to Atlanta, 2008 specifically. We went over to Mobility Resort Motegi, and we are back here at Dover Motor Speedway for 170 laps here at what's effectively the self-cleaning racetrack, the Monster Mile. That's going to be one heck of a race, especially next week being the Red Bull Ring. That's going to be something to look out for as well. What a timing of the crescendo as well, but we're going to hold off on the dramatic just a little bit. Currently, race number 4. The stage will end at lap 100 this afternoon, so the drivers will have time to feel out the schedule just a little bit. Coming into this race, these are going to be the championship standings. Tony Brent leads with 105 points. Michael Thorpe 2 points behind at 103. Travis Dart 2 points behind Michael Thorpe with 101. Brian McCann 2 points behind Travis Dart with 99 points. And then 1 point behind is Zachary Lovelace. Now you probably have noticed the parentheses 0 and parentheses 1. You'll see what that is after the race, but to put it simply, that's going to be the gained or lost positions and gained and lost points. At the moment, everything is 1 or 0 because, well, we haven't even had the race yet. But we have gotten the graphic of the live points working tonight, luckily, thanks to the glorious help of Nick Thyssen over at ATVO and just the entire crew at ATVO in general. They do so much work and put up with so many bugs that we have than trying to figure out what it even is and narrow everything down. But luckily, they got everything sorted out for us, so You know, the entire time, unfortunately, the microphone was not working. But you see your starting grid at the bottom of the screen. Starting in first place, Brian McCann and Travis Start starting in row number 1. Michael Thorpe Jr. in row number 2 alongside Cameron Sarton. Both these drivers no stranger to the top 5, let alone the top 3. They have been very consistent throughout the opening portion of the season. Starting in 5th place is going to be Corey Mower with Zachary Lovelace starting on the outside. You may see a little bit of a different paint scheme for some of these drivers, as I believe it is the college game night is the theme for tonight. So a couple drivers will have a couple different paint schemes. Zachary Lovelace with the LM or the JMU paint scheme. In fact, we'll see if we can get eyes on that number 33 machine on the track here momentarily, as well as the rest of your starting grid. That is, we can get the proper angle. Took 3 tries, but there we go. See Lovelace in row number 3. Row number 4 is going to hold Tony Brent and Hunter Karsten in the 7th and 8th place positions, car number 28 and 13, respectively. Karsten and, well, actually, I'll start with this. Tony Brent, your points leader coming into this race. Karsten, been pretty consistent. Top 5s, top 10s. I believe a couple top 10s so far throughout the start of this season. Rounding out the top 10 is going to be Ryan Lynch with Chris Chavez Essery in the number 15, rounding out the 10th place position. As we move on to the next portion of your starting grid, starting in the 11th is going to be Jared Claude with William Duff to his outside in that number 17 machine, the on the throttle 17 machine as well. Is currently under pace laps. Larry Griffin will start in 13th. 14th place is going to be John Dart. 15th place is going to be Philip Chavez. 16th, Jonathan Burt. And rounding out the 17 car field is Brian Johnson. Pace car leads the field through turns 3 and 4, and we'll see if the pace car decides to make the exit to pit road, and it does. Field in control of Brian McCann. Could he make it 3 in a row? That's the question on everybody's mind here this afternoon. Green flag flies here at Dover Motor Speedway. Just like that, lap 1 being led by Brian McCann. Second place has gone to Michael Thorpe Jr. for the moment. Travis Start has Corey Mower right on the back bumper. A few drivers just scraping the outside wall off turn number 2. That is the main danger here of Dover Motor Speedways. The walls come up on you really, really quickly, and you have so much force going through the tires, as well as just through your steering wheel. Especially with the constant banking, you have to almost be constantly turning. I say almost for a very specific reason. As we ride on board Corey Mower as he goes side by side with Travis Dart down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Dart left up on the outside lane, trying to defend Cameron Sarton, or defend against Cameron Sarton, who gets that 4th place position across the start-finish line. Zachary Lovelace is going to be sneaking his way through as well. The outside lane, not the preferred lane just yet. It could be possible to at least run up the outside lane a little bit, but not going to be the preferred lane, as I think Lovelace had slid just a little bit on corner entry, but he does hold on to it. Move the 33 up to P5. Now that the 33 is cleared, Travis Start. Ooh, just in the back. That is around William Duff. That was Jonathan Burt I saw in the Arizona Cardinals machine. He had slid all the way to the outside wall off turn number 2. He just managed to hang on to it. In fact, we'll see if we can get a replay of that now that we have a little bit of time available. Brian McCann has had a connection issue. That's why you see him dropping down the order. He's back up into the 1st place position. But we'll see if we can get that that slide of Jonathan Burt from just a couple laps ago. That was just a few seconds before this. There we go. So entering turn number 1 through turn 2, we should see, as we slow it down just a little bit, the slide of Jonathan Burt ever so slightly. Not cranking on the wheel, but that car should not be at that angle, that is for sure. But luckily, great car control by the number 6 machine. McCann has decided to re-enter existence for the time being. Let's go back to 12th place. Jonathan Burt's actually making the outside lane work. I said it was a bit too early to make it work. Jonathan Burt says, well, no it isn't. And he's definitely showing that to be the case here. He's just running higher up, actually, than what Travis Dart was running. Dart was running maybe about one car width higher up. And now Jonathan Burt dives to the inside lane. In fact, Jared Claude, actually, another driver as well, running a college paint scheme. I believe that is... I'm going to be wrong, but I'm hoping the G is for Georgia Packers. Jonathan Burt with the Arizona Cardinals. Take a look at this field running down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. Jonathan Burt has decided to fall right in line in the tire tracks of Jared Claude. A little bit of a slide it looked like, but if it was, it definitely didn't hinder his corner exit. But however, that corner entry was a little bit hindered. Listening to the throttle application right now. As we rode on board to us, just about to cut away to an external angle, Jonathan Burt had slid off turn 4, and we rode on board with that, saw that car control. He just let out the throttle, let the car do its thing, and the car just came right back to him. Oh, Jared Claude sliding to the inside, diving down, trying to get to the inside of Chris Chavez-Essery for the 10th place position. He slides off turn 4 as well. Again, keep in mind, the stage ends at lap 100, so we have quite a ways to go here. So we won't really be talking about the positions just yet, but in fact, the other positions we will be talking about are going to be related to the championship positions. Let's see, hopefully fingers crossed this works as Tony Brent just drags the right side of the car against the outside wall. Let's see here. It looks like that is working. What do you know? For some reason Jared Claude is not showing up in the live position, and I am not sure why. But he is indeed here, despite the fact that the graphic says. We see Brian McCann in first place will be, if the race were to finish as it is, of course, without stage points, keep in mind, if the race were to finish as it is, Brian McCann would be the points leader by 1 point over currently sitting second place, Michael Thorpe Jr. I am so glad this is working. But the very key thing is, sitting in 7th place is Tony Brent. He will be 3rd in the championship standings. That's not bad. He'd only be about 4 points behind Brian McCann, which isn't awful. Travis Dart sneaking his way through into the top 10 as well. Same goes for Zachary Lovelace. So a lot of the drivers up here are going to be something to watch out for. In fact, I think the entire top 7 in the championship in real time are currently all scattered in the top 7 on track. Meanwhile, we have Chris Chavez-Essery, who would sneak his way into 8th place in the championship if he were to finish in 10th. Meanwhile, battling for the 13th place position is William Duff and Jonathan Burt. Duff gets by Burt Burt gets into the outside wall a little bit, but that's not going to stop his corner entry, that's for sure. Philip Chavez, another driver with a different paint scheme this week. A very beautiful chrome Raiders paint scheme. In fact, I think the entire car, except for the Raiders logo, is chrome. Even the car number. I'll tell you what, Chavez loves that chrome, I can tell you that for sure. Again, I'm not sure why Jared Claude and Larry Griffin are not being shown on the real-time positions, as they are on track, but provisionally, that is where they would be. But the real-time position will be in the parentheses. That lets me up one more time now that Chavez has gotten by. That one extra point, that one extra pass actually for Philip Chavez gets him tied with Brian Johnson. As we have a pass for second place, or side by side for second place. Cameron Sarton has snuck his way. Cameron Sarton has snuck his way up to the inside of Michael Thorpe Jr. And nothing happened to Thorpe by the looks of it, just by pure pace. Cameron had caught up because I don't see a massive time loss for Michael Thorpe from the previous lap. It was 25.845 last time by. 25.779 for Cameron Sarton, who moves his way up to second place on track. Thorpe thinks about making a pass, decides against it on corner entry. Just by about 10th of a second is faster. 10th of a second faster is Cameron Sarton. Again, Thorpe being consistently in the top 3 is going to be helping him a lot throughout this race, and throughout the season especially. Cameron Sarton, we've seen this last week. We've seen this at Atlanta as well. As I saw in the background, Corey Moore getting a little bit loose off turn 4 in the 84. Just had to complete the rhyme. There is no option not to. But we have seen this pace from Cameron Sarton at Atlanta. We saw it from him at Motegi. We're seeing it again here at Dover. Once Cameron Sarton gets into clean air and he gets going, he gets going. In fact, we'll show you the previous laps of all the drivers at the start-finish line up on the timing tower. Half a tenth, well actually no, correction, 0.08 of a second faster is Cameron Sarton versus Brian McCann. Into the wall on the outside is Zachary Lovelace in the background. That will allow Tony Brent to get by if he can complete the pass through turn 4. Drag race off the corner. Both cars stable. Brent goes to P6. Travis Scott is starting to run up on the outside lane just a little bit. Let's ride on board. A lot of things happening here at once at Dover, all in varying locations of the racetrack. I see John Dart in the background. He was up way in the outside wall. In fact, we do have time. We'll take a look at it, see what happened here to Jonathan Dart. It looks like just took a very, very wide entry. Probably through no fault of his own. Let's run it back one more time. Ride in car. Just struggling with grip, it looks like. That is how Chris Chavez Esri got by to P9 on the racetrack. Well, 28 laps in. And just as I was about to do a quick story of the race so far, because these laps are ticking by really quickly, Chavez had fallen back, so we're going to go back to another replay. I feel weird doing replays while we're not even in green flag, or while we're still in green flag conditions, but everyone's spread out. We're fine. So let's see what happened between Philip Chavez and Jared Claude. Claude squeezes. Both get loose and just lost grip. Is Philip Chavez off the corner. Pressure being put on by Jared Claude proves successful on corner exit as we cut back live. See the 101 staring at the back bumper of the 46. Let's see if we have time now that we're on lap number 30. And of course, just a quick mention, you'll see the all the sponsors in the top left corner of your screen cycling at certain points throughout tonight's event. Butt Kicker currently the main sponsor, but you also see On the Throttle and Team Watson Racing Subs, the sponsor for this race as well. All of the links to those sponsors will be in the description below, should you choose to have some interest and check them out. In the meantime, Brian McCann currently leads by 1.2 seconds. The gap is closing. The time I was about to make a point out of it, the gap was not, or the gap was 1.4 seconds, and Brian Johnson's cars was not as heavily scraped as it is right now. We'll take a look back and see what happened to the number 27 machine. Was it off turn 4? Johnson had the 6 behind, and turn 4 had struck huge hit to the inside wall, and because he didn't spin and because he kept it going, he was able to prevent a caution from coming out. However, that hit to the inside wall and how hard of a hit that was, in fact, if we can get to a that is no doubt day done for Brian Johnson, and what a shame too. 31 laps into the race. He has not yet immediately gotten out of the car and towed, but so far he is probably going to stick it out, see how things go. As John Dart had an issue, it looks like it's an issue of some sort. He's going to tow back to pit road. Look to be a very, very quick exit for John Dart as well. He is also out of this event. In fact, he's officially out of this event. Brian Johnson's still in his car. Let's see if I can do a quick rundown of the gaps and everything before we have something else happen. It is just non-stop action. Brian McCann leads with now 0.8 of a second between himself and Cameron Sarton. Sarton closing the gap. Michael Thorpe Jr. has luckily, has prevented himself. Has actually stuck himself in no man's land in a good way and slides off turn 4. We saw him sliding a lot at Motegi last week. He was wheeling that car. Travis Start sits in the 4th place position. So far, so good for him. Running the outside lane ever so slightly, well, the middle groove, technically. Johnson is back out on track. You see him on the inside lane. Corey Mower sits in 5th place. I think Brian Johnson's strategy here is to just get a couple more laps on John Dart, get that extra point. Meanwhile, Tony Brent, points leader coming into this race, might try and get that extra position, extra point from Corey Mower. Slides up a little bit, swap those two around. Tony Brent 5th, Corey Mower in 6th. And just like that, there are 0.4 of a second between Cameron Sarton and Brian McCann. 38 laps complete, and the lead is not going to be held in the hands of that number 8 machine for too long. Cameron Sarton didn't have the chance to get the gap down last week at Motegi. This week, now that he's gotten the pace, he's gotten the clean air, he has set his sights on number 8. He's going to do what he wasn't really able to do last week. Not only match the pace of Brian McCann, not only catch up to the back bumper of Brian McCann, but maybe, just possibly, pass Brian McCann. And this time, he will have a lot of time to do so, because we are about to cross lap 40. The stage ends at lap 100. This is going to be absolutely perfect for this number 1 machine. Brian McCann has been on a 2-race winning streak, absolutely dominating both races. However, this week, going into turns 3 and 4, and it'll be exiting turn number 4, Cameron Sarton will finally say, you know what, somebody needs to challenge you, and it's going to be me. Will he do it into turn number 1, lap 41? Not quite yet. He is letting Brian McCann know that he is there just by sitting in the mirrors. Looks to the inside, off turn number 2, slides a little bit, unable to make a complete move though. sitting right on the back bumper, trying to do everything and anything possible here. As Corey Mower is slow. Is he going to pit road? Yes, he is. First of the field to make pit stops. Sarton slides a lot in turns 1 and 2. Goes to the outside lane. Unable to make a move again. Although with the momentum, in fact, he might be able to make a move here into turn number 1. To the inside, Cameron Sarton will put an end, temporarily, to the dominant reign of Brian McCann. That is, if he can not only complete the pass, but stay out in front. They drag race down into turn 3. Side by side they go. Brian McCann has led all 43 laps so far. Will he lead lap 44? Side by side across the line. Consider the lead lap streak now broken by Cameron Sarton. But Sarton is trying to do his best to fight on the inside. McCann fighting back on the outside lane. He is hanging tough there. He is not going down without a fight. This is going to be slowing both of these drivers down, potentially for Michael Thorpe Jr. to make a potential pass. Sarton does not have McCann cleared off turn 4, and still barely at the start-finish line. It will be Cameron Sarton out in front. Brian McCann's connection has dropped once again. Will he come back? Yes, he does. And he's still on the outside lane by the fender. Scrapes the outside wall. In fact, I would say if McCann didn't scrape the outside wall, he would have been able to just stay out right on the outside lane. Exiting turn number 4, Sarton bobbles, completes the pass after 3 laps of straight up side-by-side racing. Wow. And trust me, I'm well aware that was only lap 46 of 170, that we still have a long way to go. We have not completed the stage. That will be at lap 100. But still, the fact that Sarton has come into his own here at this track. This track has helped them quite a lot. And in fact, we'll take a look at the live point standings in the bottom right-hand side. Now that McCann is not leading, it was 5 extra points, by the way, for leading in, for finishing in the first place position. So that has dropped Brian McCann to provisionally 4th in the championship standings. Sarton has moved himself to be tied with Zachary Lovelace for 5th. Tony Brent still hanging strong, tied with Michael Thorpe Jr. in 1st for the live championship standings, actually. Once again, the numbers in the parentheses are the positions that these drivers are running in real time on the track. Speaking of Michael Thorpe Jr., he had a small slide out of that corner of turn number 2 just in the background, and Travis Start says, oh, you know what, I'll just go to the outside here since he just let that open, and look at that slide again. That might cost Thorpe for the 3rd place position for now. Travis Start has come into his own on the middle groove as well. He's gotten the hang of it, running that, rubbering in that middle lane as well. That's helping a lot in this case. Brian McCann has fallen back by 7/10 of a second. These two are still side by side. Bobble from Michael Thorpe Jr. still stays side by side. Not giving up that position so easily, able to hang on the inside lane, especially with that wide arc that Travis Start just made on the exit of turn 2. Corner entry not as kind to Michael Thorpe Jr. as it was to Travis Start, who just closes the gap very gently. Thorpe bobbles again, and just like that, Travis Start is in 3rd place. Look at the provisional point standings. 137 points for Tony Brent. 1 point behind is Michael Thorpe. 1 point behind Thorpe is Dart. 1 point behind Dart is McCann. Then we go to Lovelace, who's 129 points, tied with Cameron Sarton, currently your race leader. It is still very close. We won't be technically caring about the top 12 who will be going to the playoffs. We won't technically be caring about that too much, but the fact that this has been so consistently close for so long. Granted, we're only 4 races in, 4 and a bit races in, but the fact that it's been so close, it matters a lot in this case. Larry Griffin gets by Jonathan Burt for the 13th place position. Jonathan Burt, however, not going to let that slide so easily. He'll try and look to make a move into turn 3. Able to have the exit he wants, running the same lane. A couple drivers now we see running the middle groove. And there is your race leader, Cameron Sarton. Brian Johnson is still running, by the way. 16 laps down in total. But he is still running. He sat in his pit box for 4 minutes, 42.4 seconds. That only recently came out of pit road 5 laps ago. And is that a clutch I heard? Potentially. We'll ride on board with Cameron Sarton here. Cameron Sarton is saving. Is McCann doing the same on a corner entry, just 0.7 of a second behind? That's going to be the key thing here. Well, that answers that question. That is a no, at least in turns 1 and 2. Sarton is aggressively saving too, by the way. Although, despite the fact that Sarton is saving, he is still matching the lap times of Brian McCann, both with a 26.5 lap time. So McCann is currently running without clutching in every corner. Sarton is able to stay in front by almost 0.08 of a second last time by. Ryan Lynch has made his way into pit road. So with Cameron Sarton saving, Brian McCann running as per usual, I wonder if Sarton is hoping he can beat McCann on not only pure pace, but also on strategy. That is Larry Griffin in the 7.7 machine. He'll make way for Cameron Sarton on the inside lane. Nearly scrapes the outside wall. Sarton bobbles a little bit. I'm very sure that Sarton wanted to move right back up to the preferred lane, but decided against that. Oh my goodness, what happened to Michael Thorpe Jr.? Hold on a moment. That is heavy damage to the 34. Oh my goodness, what happened? Oh, that's what happened. You got loose in turns 3 and 4. Oh, no. I'll run this back one more time. You get loose off the corner here as well, because everybody was all over the place. Oh, my goodness. Aggressively sliding, drifting in turns 1 and 2. Trying to get on the power a lot on corner exit. And then he tries to... Oh, Lovelace had also just decided to go to pit road, I guess, right at the last second. And then, because of how hot the tires were, that's what caused Thorpe to slide into the outside wall. Somehow, no caution came out. Of course, race control deemed it not worthy of a caution, considering, well, Thorpe was still rolling forward. I don't believe race control would throw manual cautions anyway. It is left up to iRacing and iRacing alone. But that might be, I wouldn't say day done like I thought for Brian Johnson. Tires are going up onto the 34 machine. Cameron Sarton is actually going to be the first one to go to pit road. In fact, that's Brian McCann going to pit road throughout that entire time? Yes, he did. And now time to bring up the last pit lap, or in this case, how long the drivers have been going on their pit stops. That is if we are able to do so. There we go. So the higher the number, the longer the driver has stayed out. Of course, Travis Dart, the driver in the lead right now, has inherited. Where is Cameron Sarton in relation to? Well, that answers that question, because there goes Brian McCann, well out ahead. time to start keeping an eye on pit entry, because now is going to be, actually, somehow, interestingly enough, Corey Moore, that's why. He pit 21 laps ago versus Brian McCann pitting 4 laps ago. So Corey Moore, he did pit earlier. I do remember that. He pit around lap 40 or so. So trying to, no doubt, get himself into prime position for scoring some playoff points, or scoring some extra points, I should say, as William Duff was sliding off turn 4. I am very surprised with, I'm not going to say it, actually. You know what? Not risking the commentator's curse this week. Not risking it. If you know, then you probably know. We'll see how things go in the meantime. Does Chris Chavez Esser go to pit road? No. Does William Duff go to pit road? Well, if he does, he's going to have an arc to do, and he goes right past corner entry. Philip Chavez, what does the 101 think? No. Larry Griffin, does he think? Also no. Well, he's on the back straightaway, so we haven't found out yet. Brandon McCann, your net leader. Does Larry Griffin go to pit road? No. And Travis Start is in a very, very good position. And I think I know exactly why some drivers aren't going to pit road. If we take a look at the timing tower, everybody from P5 on back is 1 lap down. So you know what? I don't blame the entire top 5 deciding to stay out, because this is insanely prime position right now if anything were to happen. And oh, by the way, this might be the area of where something could happen. Ryan Lynch in 9th in at number 3, Tony Brandt in the 28 P10, and sitting directly behind the 33 of Zachary Lovelace. So everybody holding out hope that something could happen. This would be the prime spot for said something to happen. Question is, will anything happen, despite the fact that these drivers are all within, give or take, I would say, about 0.3 of a second. Larry Griffin has fallen back in position. Brian McCann has gotten by. Brian McCann still 1 lap down, though. Off turn 4, this is once again the battle for actually 9th place. Ryan Lynch in the 3, 9th place. Monty Karsten in 12th place, lurking in the background there. 4th car in line from Ryan Lynch. Everyone seems relatively stable, dare I say. In fact, Chris Chavez Esri has spun, and has he hit the pit barrels on the inside? He might have. That would be the only way the 15 has that much damage. Chris Chavez Esri is pretty much out. He decides, yeah, I'll just park it here, and there goes Travis Dart. That leads 3 cars, that leaves 4 cars actually, on the lead lap now. The 15 of Chris Chavez Esri, the pit entry here is brutal. And we'll take a look here on board in a few moments. In fact, I've been so used to the green flag running. There we go. We've got that little green light. Let's see if we can ride on board the 15 here. We can get it in reasonable time. That might be it. We might come back to it here. Oh, man. You can hear the rapid downshift trying to get it out, but once you see that smoke, it is pretty much over. One more time from an external angle, and the banking transition just did not help whatsoever. That's not the first time that somebody would have hit the pit barrels incoming to pit road. In fact, if I remember correctly, the last time somebody did that, his name was Matt Kenseth. You might have heard of him. Well, Chris Chavez Esri has towed to his pit box. Well, never mind. I was about to say he's still in his car, but oh, that is heartbreaking. And still, no takers for the top, 2 to go to pit road, and then Philip Chavez in 4th. And we still have this group of cars, 9th and 12th, all in a single file lane. Not really looking to too dicey right now. In fact, I know exactly what's happening at this point, and especially at this point. The very key thing here is that, well, the stage ends at lap 100. Do the top two in this case, or rather, does Travis Dart and William Duff, do they think they can still score some solid points here? I wonder if that's what they're trying to do. But the longer you stay out, the longer it's going to really hurt the tires. I don't know if you could go 100 laps on even the fuel tank alone. Philip Chavez has gone to pit road. So he's saying, you know what, I have a chance here, and we'll see. Especially with Jonathan Burt being 2 laps down. I don't believe any particular reason he has not had any issues on pit road. In fact, Larry Griffin's back in pit road again. Actually, not even back in pit road. For the first time, he's in pit road. 75 laps. And there goes Travis Dart. No, the same thing that happened to Chris Chavez happens to Travis Dart. Oh my goodness. I genuinely can't believe that. The engine isn't smoking. Travis Dart's gotten by a little bit more luckily than Chris Chavez, but oh my goodness. Well, William, if you're going to pit road, slow down a lot more than you think you have to and turn left harder than you think you have to. He'll lead this lap across the start-finish line. We'll do a rundown of where everybody is here in a few moments. I'm going to wait to see where William Duff goes. In fact, really trying to defend against Brian McCann. Props, honestly. I wouldn't think about that, but props. William Duff off turn number 2, position number 2. Cameron Sarton barreling down behind him in P3. By the way, that 9th through 12th has now become 5th through 8th. This time it's Tony Brent who snuck his way by. Actually, hold on. So he's 4th through 8th. We have like 5 cars in the line here. All right, does William Duff go to pit road this time by? Still no. He's switching back and forth across the track here a couple times, that's for sure. A little bit of contact made, nearly 3 wide. As these 4 cars battle for 4th place off turn number 2. Duff has not gone to pit road just yet. We'll let you know when he does. Tony Brent moves into the 4th place position. This is actually, in fact, a battle for net P3 because Duff is ahead of these guys. He is still not pit yet. See everybody all on the line here. Tony Brent leads this group from Hunter Karsten in the 13, then Zachary Lovelace in the 33, the 84 of Corey Mower in 7th, and then Ryan Lynch in 8th. Does William Duff go to pit road? Still no. He's switching back and forth here just a couple times. I wouldn't be surprised if Duff is trying to hold out until lap 100. Honestly, I don't blame him. If he pits now, though, he could have a good shot at getting 10th. Technically, it's only 1 point, but it's better than nothing. In fact, Corey Mower gets passed by Ryan Lynch for 7th place. As that group has started to split off. Corey Mower, however, thinks, well, not quite yet. This battle is not over. But thinking otherwise is Ryan Lynch with the extra speed. And now that leaves Tony Brent and Hunter Karsten in 4th and 5th. Zachary Lovelace in almost no man's land in P6, although I'd be happy about that. He's between 2 groups right now. William Duff still has not gone to pit road yet, but Cameron Sarton has caught up to Brian McCann for the 2nd time. Well, not technically. I'll give it a couple more laps, but Sarton is about 0.2 of a second faster. Halfway through this race. Team Watson Racing Subs 170 here at Dover Motor Speedway is not quite over just yet. Did William Duff suffer the same fate? Please, no. Okay, thank goodness. If that happened 3 times in a row, I would have been sad. That would have been just utter disappointment and heartbreak. So Duff has gone to pit road on lap 86. The lead, however, is not over. The battle for the lead, however, is not over just yet. In fact, we have 2 different battles here. Now that Tony Brent is in 3rd place, the aforementioned Net P3 is now on track. P3, Hunter Karsten, looking to get into the top 3 once again. First time since I want to say Daytona, really. Duff has been sitting in his pit box for quite a while. You know what? Don't tell me what happened. Boy, I think I know exactly what happened here to William Duff. Let me run this back one more time. I want to see something because I am curious. Let's go to a replay real quick. Unless there's a whole lot beforehand. So we will come back to this momentarily, I think. Keeping an eye on the real-time gap. And we should be fine. In fact, we are not fine, so we'll come back live real quick because the battle for the lead has just heated up once again. Sargent has made his way to the inside of Brian McCann for the 2nd time this afternoon. Not able to stick to the inside off turn number 4, however, but that's not going to stop Sargent from trying once again on the inside lane. Look at the precision of the left front fender onto the apron. My guess is that William Duff had a speeding penalty. I wanted to look and see if that was the case. He sat in his pit box for 52 seconds, however. It might be just also repairing some extra damage. But regardless, side by side, into turns 1 and 2 again. Lap number 91. 91 and a half on the back straightaway. This is going to be prime position for Cameron Sargent as well, especially with the end of the stage approaching at a very rapid rate. And that is at the rate of which these two are flying by right now as they drag race across the start-finish line. So close, I think it broke the timing for a second. I think it said it was 23 seconds between the two. And now, it's about 10th between these two, now that Cameron Sargent has gotten out in front. Brian McCann, interestingly enough, did not try and go for a pass going into turn number 3. I wonder if McCann is going to try and outrace him here. 3 laps is the difference between these two in terms of when they last pit. 34 laps ago was Brian McCann, 31 laps ago was Cameron Sargent. I was a little bit wary and I didn't think it would work, but well, look at this now. Sargent is out in front on lap number 94. The key lap here is not only lap 100, but lap 170. And oh, by the way, the battle for 3rd place is heating up once again as well. Karsten, lurking in the mirrors of Tony Brent, championship leader coming into this race. If we take a look at the full screen graphic now, it would take into account the real-time positions. But coming into this race, Tony Brent had 105 points. Just 2 points ahead of a couple other drivers. Lap number 95 as we go to the back straightaway. Do we have time, perchance? In fact, I think should be able to just see exactly what happened here. Provided this plays nice. So we can see what happened to William Duff. Let's exit the pit lane. I don't see particularly if William Duff had a speeding penalty or not. But regardless, lap number 97, Brian McCann, despite the fact that he has gotten past, is not going down without a fight. 5 thousandths of a second advantage going to Cameron Sargent last time by at the start-finish line. At 26.225 for Sargent, and 26.230 for Brian McCann. And McCann is still within 0.3 of a second. At number 98, 3 laps to go before the stage completes. Points will be going into the top 10 drivers. The live points should hypothetically adjust as well with the stage points. Without the stage points, these are as the points currently stand. Tony Brent still the championship leader over Brian McCann, now that McCann has fallen out of first place. Usual points for race ending, or for the end of the race, is 40 points for first place, and then 35 points for second, 34 points for third place, and -1 point from then on down to the lower positions. Final lap of the stage. Completion of lap 100 is the key word here. Cameron Sarton has shown that he does have what it takes to get ahead. Well, first of all, catch up to Brian McCann and then get ahead of Brian McCann. Stage win and an extra 10 points goes to Cameron Sarton here at Dover. 9 points for Brian McCann, who strips the outside wall. And then we have this mess for third place. Tony Brent is actually fine. He is relatively safe. However, everybody else, not really. Actually, in fact, Cameron Sarton, or Hunter Karsten, I'm never getting that correct. Hunter Karsten might be safe. Tony Brent third, Hunter Karsten fourth, fifth is Lovelace, sixth Lynch, seventh Mower, and Burt, Chavez, Burt, and Griffin might have that counted. They are a few laps down, but they are all safe for the moment. But I will wait until I see otherwise from race control before seeing the points having handed out to the top 10. But Mower and Lynch have swapped positions, so I'm just going to screenshot that before I forget. So Lynch has gone to pit road. 44 laps complete on the stint, 45 as he crosses the start-finish line. Now officially P1 through P10 have stage points awarded. However, I am very sure that those stage points would not swap for Mower and Lynch because they crossed the line in the appropriate positions before everyone else did. So at that point, I believe the positions would have been frozen in a lap down scenario. It's the extra few laps because a couple of the drivers were 2 laps down. So it took a little bit. But now, you get to see where everyone gets filed out here with the stage points. Just got to make a mental note that Mower and Lynch are the 2 positions that should be swapped. Regardless, Cameron Sarton leads the way currently here around Dover Motor Speedway. So while we not only get the points updated, let's take a little bit of a break. You won't miss any of the action. Let's see the timing tower on your left-hand side of the screen. You also see iRacing as well. So you won't miss any of the action. We'll be back momentarily here. We'll be back here in a few moments at Dover. That is, once things decide to cooperate. Which apparently, just for fun today, they decided to not cooperate. They've definitely decided to not cooperate. There we go. We'll be back momentarily. You won't miss any of the action. You'll see where all your favorite drivers are on the left-hand side of your screen.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Welcome back to the Full Send Racing series, the Full Send Racing Association, here at the Dover Motor Speedway. Currently, the laps still ticking by, in fact, just about under 60 laps to go as we take a look high above at the Monster Mile. So far, we haven't had a very specific flag pop up on our timing tower. The reason why I'm being so vague about it is because of, well, the fun commentator's curse. Currently, Cameron Sarton leads, as he has done for quite a few laps ever since he got by Brian McCann here in second. Tony Brent sitting in third place, and oh, by the way, he's got Hunter Karsten by, with a few lap cars in between himself. In between Tony Brent, himself and Tony Brent. And Tony Brent says, you know what, I'm taking advantage of this, and I'm going to pit road. Now we have seen two drivers go quite literally into the pit wall. Lovelace goes to pit road, so does Corey Mower. So Brent, Lovelace, and Mower all into pit road, so that defeats the entire idea that I had of going through the entire field and catching you up on what exactly has gone on and happened. So we'll go from the bottom of the timing tower to the top. Jonathan Dart has retired, not due to damage, but potentially real-life things. That is my idea. Not entirely sure. Michael Thorpe had a run-in with the outside wall, quite literally, after sliding off turn number 2. Or sliding through turn number 2. He slid all the way here on the back straightaway, tried to get it going, and then the tires were too hot. He bobbled here-ish, and then just oversteered into the outside wall when he tried to catch the car. And that is pretty much day done for the 34. Chris Chavez S3 has had a literal run-in with the pit barrels on pit entry, and Chavez Star did the exact same thing just a few laps later. So both of those drivers are either out or repairing the cars. Technically, still in the car is Michael Thorpe Jr., but probably just watching from a distance. Cameron Sarton does not suffer the same fate, luckily, as 18-second gap. That's exactly why. So Brian McCann currently in pit road, and Cameron Sarton has the luxury of saying, oh, he's in pit road? Cool, I'll just go around one more lap. So this is going to be very intriguing to see where these two will place. Philip Chavez is net third place right now. However, everybody else is a lap down. McCann is down and away. Cameron Sarton just gets into his pit box. We'll see how things go. Brian Johnson had a run-in with the inside wall off turn number 4 a little bit ago. In fact, one of the first incidents of the night, but not enough to cause a caution. So there goes Cameron Sarton. So where is Brian McCann? There he is. And in comparison with Cameron Sarton, he'll just get out of pit road. Way better luck than the last few pit stops. That is the gap right there between Sarton and McCann. I think with that pit strategy, it is pretty much sealed, maybe, for now, for Brian McCann. I mentioned Brian Johnson had a run-in with the outside wall. His front bumper was missing, so his team has gotten a new front bumper, fixed all the steering damage possible. After staying in pit road for it's probably a total of 10 minutes, I believe. And William Duff also, I believe, had a run-in with the pit barrels as well, so he is 11 laps down, sitting in P12. Jonathan Burt didn't have any issues, just got lapped a couple times. Same goes for Mower, Griffin, and Claude, who are just 1 lap down, just by happenstance. In fact, we'll keep going from the bottom of the time tower to the top bunk for Karsten. Relatively quiet day, if you ask me. Not too bad. And of course, Karsten started in the 8th place position. He currently sits in 7th, and I would say not too bad at all things considered. Lovelace, on paper, not the most impressive day, but he is surviving, which in my case, that's all that would matter, especially here at Dover. Started 6th, currently sitting in 6th. Tony Brent having a little bit of better luck. He sits in the 5th place position, top 5, after starting in the 7th place position. Ryan Lynch having a pretty good day of his own as well. Started 9th, and the pace has just come to him throughout the flow of this race. He sits in 4th place after starting in 9th. Phil Chavez currently sits 3rd after starting 15th. However, we might expect Chavez to pit here in a few laps. I was about to say that might depend, but, well, he's going to pit now, actually. Right side scraped up a little bit. Very careful on pit entry, which is always a good sign, especially since those pit barrels are out to get everybody today. And, of course, we come to your top 2 once again. Brian McCann started 1st, currently sits in 2nd, has led almost, well, I believe, actually, good majority of the laps here tonight. Somehow, we don't have that information currently available. We'll get that after the race, but Cameron Sarton started 4th, and he has just been flying since then. I was wondering last week if it would be possible for anyone to, in fact, we should have enough time to be able to bring it up on screen here for you. So we'll take this out real quick and throw it to the scenic view as we bring up your race schedule of what has happened so far this season. Daytona, Andrew Medlin won. He is currently a part-time driver. That's why he hasn't been here all of these races, but good way to kick off the season nonetheless. Brian McCann won in dominant fashion at Atlanta, repeated the same race at Mobility Resort Motegi, and was about to do the same until Cameron Sarton showed up. So, last week I thought, well, maybe we'll get like an ABC theme. We had the possibility, and that didn't happen. But we have an ABBC possibility. Not sure if that means anything, but it could be worse. Currently, these are your championship standings as things currently stand. Let's see. Yes, plus 34 points for Tony Brent as of now. This does include stage points, by the way, and those parentheses are the current gain or lost positions. I'm not sure why Sarton... Wait a minute. You know what? That might be reversed, because I'm not sure why Sarton would be minus 4 positions, but up in 3rd place. That just doesn't make sense. So that might be the reverse of what it should be. And we'll take a look at that after the race, because I'm a little bit confused. Actually, yeah, it's the reverse icons, because John Dart is minus 4 positions, but he has 48 points plus 20. Whoops. That's something that will be fixed eventually. Probably in a few moments, actually. Tony Brent currently under fire from Zachary Lovelace as of right now as we cross into lap number 129. And in fact, Ryan Lynch also has the same issue. He has a Hunter Karsten to the inside and we're immediately around. That is the difference of, give or take, 14 laps of a pit strategy difference. The disadvantage going to Ryan Lynch, 28 laps since his last pit stop. Hunter Karsten, 14 laps since his last pit stop. Zachary Lovelace and Tony Brent, however, are on the same strategy. fact, we should be able to change that here, change the full screen graphic pretty easily. Just a small edit. That is, if the edit wants to comply and actually work properly. But as we take a look at this battle, in fact, let's ride on board and listen to the sights and sounds of Dover Motor Speedway from in-car Zachary Lovelace. As we ride on board, just listening to the sounds of Zachary Lovelace and his throttle application. Let's take a look back here as we see Cameron Sarton about to put Hunter Karsten one lap down. Very nice, calm ride along as we saw Lovelace trying to run his line, do the things that he wants to do, maybe try a couple different things to catch up to Tony Brent once again after catching him, but the tires may have been used up a little bit too much potentially on that number 33 machine, but no harm, no foul is all I usually like to say. Not as if it's not a common saying, but we'll ignore that part, I think. Regardless, things going smoothly here for a lot of these drivers, give or take, depending on who you are, I would say it's going partially smoothly. That's the part where I will take a look at the... In fact, you know what, let's take a look here. We'll be able to do this in real time as well, depending on if I have this available to me, which I don't think I do. So we'll go with the live graphic here for a moment. We can see, there we go, okay, that's what I thought. As Lovelace gets passed and put a lap down by Cameron Sarton. In very unprecedented territories. Even Atlanta wasn't like this. Granted, the Atlanta track was a mile and a half, not a mile, but this track is quite treacherous at the end of the day. Tony Brent, if things were to finish as they are, would still come out on top as the championship leader. Consistency does matter, and that definitely shows, with Tony Brent still being first place in the championship standings, despite running third on track. For a little bit of a behind-the-scenes notice, and a little bit of a behind-the-scenes peek behind the curtain, effectively. Currently, turns out, the plus and minus is swapped for a full-screen graphics, so changing that around for the end of the race, and then we will be able to very properly get you the information And some information that Hunter Carson is gathering is that, well, Lovelace is 5/10 ahead of him. He is right there, but he's got the 8 of McCann barreling down behind him. I'd be a little bit worried if I was Hunter Carson. Now I look in my mirror and I saw this car sitting behind me, barreling down and coasting, surprisingly. For the first time this race, this is the first time that we have heard McCann coast. I wonder if he's trying to make sure that he gets to the end, or if he's trying to prepare for any overtime, any green light checker situations more accurately. And that depends on how the rest of this race goes. This is actually doubling pretty well as we get to see Hunter Carson. Well, maybe not. All right. I was about to say we get to see Hunter Carson chase down Zachary Lovelace for the 4th place position, but the 8 of McCann has other ideas. He'll make his way by Hunter Carson, but luckily for Hunter Carson, McCann's going to be making his way right by Zachary Lovelace here as well, and Carson is going to just be barreling down at least as much as he can, because McCann has once again had another connectivity issue. It's the 3rd one tonight. He's lucked out. He has lucked out so far. And this is what Carson wanted, especially for the 4th place position. Off turn number 4. I've seen Carson get consistent top 10 finishes. And it'd be great to add another top 5 finish to his stats. Especially, it would be nice to add 1 extra point as well, just for fun. Could help him out in the grand scheme of things. And get everything loaded back up for you once again, so you don't miss any important information here. As we very quickly approach the 30 laps to go portion of this race. Another battle that is about to occur is for 6th place between Ryan Lynch and Corey Mower. Oh man, both Lovelace and Carson hitting the outside wall. Carson hitting it again. Not exactly what he wants when he's chasing down another extra point. In fact, please work properly. Hey, there we go. Oh man, just scraping the outside wall. Carson's pushing a bit too hard. He is trying his best. He's got 30 laps to do so. No, 20 laps to do so. Never mind. I can't read today. I'm thinking way too many different laps here. So that is my apologies. Very interestingly, Lovelace, where is Lovelace in the... Okay, so if Carson were to... Oh, wow. This is going to be something we're going to keep an eye on here, actually. If Carson were to pass Lovelace, see them 4th and 5th in the championship standings, as well as 4th and 5th on track. If Carson were to pass Lovelace, that'll put both of them at 136 points. And that will absolutely matter going into the next portion of the season. The main thing we have to keep an eye on is P12. But for now, we don't have to worry about that too much. I don't really have to worry about that until... Oh, well, we might have to worry about that probably right now. Larry Griffin unintentionally dooring Zachary Lovelace. And Larry Griffin is going to say, all right, nope, my bad. And I will immediately back out. I don't think any words were said over the radio. I think Lovelace would more than likely understand. Especially since, wow, both drivers into the outside wall. Griffin more than Lovelace. But this is going to be helping Carson. Granted, this is for only, quote-unquote, 4th place position. And for only, quote-unquote, 1 point. But this is something that matters. No driver hits the outside wall that time off turn number 4 with 16 laps to go. Remember what I said about something unprecedented? Well, we're seeing it now. Everybody but the top 2 is 1 or more laps down. I have a sneaking suspicion it might stay that way depending on how things go. Lovelace just stays off the outside wall. Carston not so much. Griffin gives him room. I believe Griffin might be free to race Lovelace, so you can see the exhaust backfire as well. And that was Griffin letting off the throttle. If I were Griffin, I'd kind of back out here because it's not exactly worth hindering either of these two drivers right now. Especially with nearly meeting the outside wall at the corner exit. If I were Hunter Carson, I'd be saying, move, please, move. 14 laps to go. Actually, correction, it would be 13 laps to go for these guys. Because they are 1 lap down. Carson just can't quite get there. The difference between these two on tires is 1 lap, basically. And in fact, the average pace between these two, I'll hold off until the completion of the lap. This is something Carson wants to see, though, on corner exit of turn number 2. The tire fall off is quite massive. I'd say an average pace loss of about 2.5 seconds according to ATVO. Specifically for Lovelace, it's about the same between both Lovelace and Carson. 3.2 seconds is the average pace loss. Let's get an emphasis on average pace loss. As Carson is trying to figure out what exactly he's going to do here. Because Griffin is on 20, it's been 26 laps since Griffin has last pit. And he's sticking directly in between Lovelace and Carson. And by the way, shout out to, shout out to Larry Griffin because he did get that 1 point in the completion of the stage. 1 point will go a long way here. I'm just sitting here. Oh, wait a minute. That's somebody in the inside wall off turn number 2. That is Brian Johnson again. Off turn number 4. He has not had the best luck. That's the second time this race that Johnson has went into the inside wall. What exactly had happened to 27? He was very slow and well off the pace. Trying to arc the corner, and oh, he did the same thing that Thorpe did. The tire, wait, hold on. If we run this back through turns 3 and 4, or turns 1 and 2, did he slide off turn 2? No, he did not. Although, wow, he just started sliding, trying to catch it. The tires were overheated and overcorrect hard into the outside wall. Wow. I absolutely cannot believe that. While driving through pit road, I mean, Johnson is very lucky in the sense that he won't be losing any positions if he were to retire right now. I'll take a look. He's currently sitting in pit road, in his pit box, getting tires. I'm just going to try and I'll see what he does. In the meantime, Carson and Lovelace have separated themselves from Larry Griffin. Carson going to be running down that number 33. Now that he's gotten motivation to see that 33 machine directly in front of him, he's going to be chasing it down. Riding on the back bumper of Zachary Lovelace. 6 laps to go at the start-finish line. And oh, by the way, the leaders are... They're just at the start-finish line. Nope, they're on the back straightaway. So leaders are on turns 3 and 4 now. Sargent's about to cross the start-finish line right now. That gives you a little bit of an idea of where these two are in relation to Hunter, or to Cameron Sarton. Somehow I'm confusing Cameron Sarton and Hunter Karsten. I don't get why. One thing that Cameron Sarton isn't going to be confusing is the gap that he has between himself and Brian McCann, 3.6 seconds. One thing that Hunter Karsten isn't going to be confusing is seeing that number 33 directly in front of him. And keep an eye on this until we get the white flag. With 4 laps to go, running a little bit lower through turns 1 and 2 is Karsten. See how much lower and the gap physically between these two. Both of them get loose off turn 4. Just as they have been pretty much ever since, pretty much I would say ever since the race started, but ever since the last flurry of pit stops. This is something that will be mattering here. And something that we'll keep a very close eye on, especially if this gap continues to close, like right here. Karsten right on the back bumper, not close enough to make a move, however. And as the leader comes around to take the white flag, we'll keep an eye on this battle. Should be 1 lap to go now at the start-finish line. And it is. Karsten will make his way on the back straightaway. Lovelace will be defending as much as he can. But in the meantime, we'll take a look off turn number 4. It will be the number 1 of Cameron Sarton, appropriately the number 1 machine in victory lane here at Dover. Through turns 3 and 4 they go, and it will be Lovelace coming out ahead of Hunter Karsten for 4th place. And what a run it was for Cameron Sarton. 5.8 seconds the gap between himself and Brian McCann, and then 1 lap between those two and the rest of the field. Something that I never thought I would have seen. Caution-free for the 2nd time this season. And rightfully burning it down is going to be Cameron Sarton. What a run. I was going to say, if he has enough fuel to burn it down, then he definitely does. That is for sure. And he crushes the back bumper. Well, still a fantastic job nonetheless by Cameron Sarton. Nearly said Hunter Karsten. Why do both of them have to have the similar syllables? There he goes. And we will bring up the finishing results on your screen, as a couple things apparently need to be adjusted in the next race, but we'll get to that a little bit later, post-race especially. But regardless, Cameron Sarton finishes in 1st place, Brian McCann 2nd, 3rd place is Tony Brent. Lovelace successfully held off Hunter Karsten for that 4th place position. You wouldn't think it now, but that 1 point will matter, potentially, in the coming races in this season. Corey Mower finishes in 6th, Ryan Lynch 7th, Philip Chavez finishes in 8th, Jonathan Burt 9th place, and then 10th place is Jared Claude. And then the rest of the field, we have... Oh, it's doing this. Okay, well, we'll just do this the old-fashioned way. A little bit of a old-fashioned scroll. There we go. Larry Griffin finished in 11th place. 12th place was Brian Johnson. 13th place, Travis Dart. 14th place, Chris Travis Ezra. Michael Thorpe Jr. 16th, 17th is John Dart. Aside from Larry Griffin, and Brian Johnson, I think William Duff as well, who did manage to... Actually, no, he was sitting in pit road. William Duff, Travis Dart, Chris Travis Ezra all had a literal run-in with the pit barrels. Michael Thorpe had a run-in with the outside wall, and Jonathan Dart retiring due to unknown reasons. I would assume real-life reasons, but we don't technically need to know that. However, something that we do know is the drivers that we will be interviewing here momentarily. In fact, we'll see if we can bring some of them in now. starting with actually not even now, but in a little bit. Tony Brent, Brian McCann, Cameron Sarton going to be the top 3 drivers that we will be interviewing here this afternoon. In fact, we'll see if I can get some B-roll, if anything, here, while we wait for the drivers to make themselves available, but no rush, of course. We'll bring in some B-roll of the beautiful Dover Motor Speedway as we get everything set up here for the post-race interviews here for the remaining portion of this broadcast. And what a race. Second caution-free race of the season as well. That is actually impressive, especially here at Dover, and even more so especially with how many, dare I say, shenanigans, if that's a way to phrase it, with how many incidents had happened throughout this event, and yet somehow, some way, we managed to come out unscathed at the end of the day. So we'll start off with the third place finisher of Tony Brent. Tony, congratulations on finishing in third place. Usually I would end with that, but I guess I'm going in reverse order today with everything. But luckily, I believe you will still hold the championship standings, or championship lead in the standings, by 4 points, I believe, over Brian McCann. So still a very good race for you.
Yeah, I'll take it. It was a grind out there. I wasn't expecting it to go caution free, and Dover's a tough one with that setup, kind of up on the wheel the entire time. So that was pretty fun. Glad to come away with the third. Yeah, McCann's right there behind me, even with missing a race. He's pretty darn good, and he and Sarton were in a league of their own tonight. So to come away with a third and battle through it, definitely happy with that.
Especially since you had started 7th. So at the start as well, just like, see, especially with everyone trying to sort everything out, a little bit on the back foot in a sense, but luckily you did manage to get everything under control. And the one thing that I'm curious about is the racing lines, because throughout the start of the race, everyone, of course, was running the inside lane. Maybe 1 or 2 drivers were running about the middle groove, but then the later the race got on, of course, the more rubbered in the middle lane got, and in some cases more preferred for some drivers, and it helped out for some drivers to stick out for some battles. So any lane exploring for your race?
I was primarily pretty tight to the bottom all the way around. Just from a tire saving, I was trying to stay disciplined and not get back to the gas too early. I have a tendency to burn up the right front a little bit, and I knew that would hinder my race. And so I was trying to stay pretty disciplined with it, especially with going green. So I kind of just kept hugging that bottom and just try to stay methodical with it. So I never really searched around too much. There was a couple incidents, or not incidents, but a couple instances with lap cars where I had to search around a little bit. And the top in 1 and 2, if you could get it turned and get a good run, sometimes you get a good launch down the back straightaway. But primarily was around the bottom for me.
Especially with every single corner being notorious for causing trouble, somehow equally turn 4 as much as it was turn 2 for corner exit. So treacherous is this track, and somehow everyone did the impossible, and that is not even have a caution, which is still mind-blowing to me. But I think that's even going to be the case for next week, because it is a road course. So that's going to be quite telling. Before we go ahead and let you go, one more question is not Road America. Why was I going with Road America? Red Bull Ring next week over in Austria in Spielberg. So a track that's normally Formula One open wheel for the most part, and we have decided to just take these cars to that and just say, well, how about this? So the borderline fastest track on the F1 schedule as well. So your thoughts going into the Red Bull Ring for next week?
I just looked. I have to buy it, so that'll tell you I've never had a lap at it. So going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I'm not the best road racer, but I'm sure there's going to be some instances where guys go off track or get some damage. So probably just looking for another methodical run and get out of there and get on to tracks like Michigan and that I'm a little bit better at. So probably not circled on my list as far as tracks that I think I'll have a good chance at.
Well, you never know. It could always go well, but of course that would be the that's what the 1 week of practice is for. So before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your third place finish, go ahead and give any shout outs that you would like.
Yeah, just want to give a shout out to David and Brian, running over here as G4 Sim Sports. So hanging out with them was a great time throughout the season so far, and tonight in our race channel. And then shout out to the guys at Texas Speed. We still work closely with them, just running under G Force for the FSRA season. So shout out to those guys as well. And yeah, it's fun. Fun group out here. Fun when you can. Fun when you can go green all the way and puts it in the driver's hands. So that was a great time, and just a big thank you to Travis and Steve for the work that they put into it,
And of
and
course,
thank you to
thanks.
you as well.
I was gonna say, yeah, thanks to you for your time. Beat me to it, but congratulations on your third place finish, nonetheless. We have to talk to you again next week.
All right, appreciate it. Hope to talk to you some more up here.
That is the third place finisher of Tony Brent. Again, finishing third place in a caution free race, which is still something that is mind blowing to me. Another thing that is mind blowing to me is now our second place finisher, who I never thought I would say. And if it helps you any, Brian, I almost dragged in Cameron because I was thinking back to last week, but Brian McCann, the shock second place finisher, dethroned effectively in terms of having the lead lap streak of however many laps. I would have to actually go back and count, and that would be a while, and still be broken up by pit stops anyway. But a two race wins in a row though, and still second place. So I would say on paper, still a pretty good race for you.
Yeah, we had fun. One of my least favorite tracks. So Cameron came out here strong. I don't know how he was doing it. He's fast at this track. We were talking right before you pulled me in, and this is one of his favorite tracks. So big shout out, congrats to him for taking something like a 5 second lead on me on the end there. So yeah, it was hard to drive. First time I pitted, I came in and I felt like the right rear was about to blow, and sure enough, it came in. It was like 13%. So I had to change my driving style a little bit, try to save that right rear. But it was a struggle all night.
Not only trying to save the right rear, but saving the car as well, because a common thing that I've noticed is that turn everywhere, technically, is quite treacherous around here, and a few drivers had quite literal run-ins with the pit rails, a la Matt Kenseth, I think at the same track too, 2007, 2006, I want to say. It's been a while since I've seen that, so I don't entirely remember, but even still, now that everyone has somehow escaped the Monster Mile caution-free, where technically no cars were claimed by Miles the Monster, more the safer barrier and the pit barrels as well, which is probably the better scenario. Moving into the Red Bull Ring for next week, what are your thoughts?
I don't even know what that track looks like, and I haven't bought it yet.
Oh
So
my gosh.
I mean, there's going to be a little experiment for us on that one. I tend to do pretty decent road racing in these cars, so we'll just have to figure it out. And I think I just lost my internet.
And it has been a thing for Brian throughout. We did hear at least the end of that sentence, if Brian's still with us, so I will very subtly fill for time, wink, wink. But still a very good race at the end of the day. Still very comforting, I would say, for Brian McCann to still come away with a top three finish, well, top two, more specifically, especially after 2 weeks in a row finishing in first place. And I remember very vividly, I think it was last week, might have been the week before at Atlanta, but I do very vividly remember that. Now it was last week, I think, because it was 50 points for Brian's race win, plus the first place in the stage, and then last week it was 49 points. So I believe this week it might be 48 points, if my math is correct. I could be actually no, it might be less than that, but that's why the point standings for. But regardless, still, what were your methods with you mentioned, I believe, the tire being at 13%. Any line searching throughout your race aside from trying to fend off Cameron Sarton by running the middle groove?
Yeah, I tried to lean on the right front a little bit more, just to try to save the right rear, but then I started wearing the right front out a little bit too much. So it was just this track is it just chews the tires up, and I've always been a little on the rough side on the tires, so not a good combo. But um, hopefully we'll get past this week, and we got some good tracks on the schedule. Michigan, Iowa, Darlington, Charlotte. You know, those are four of my favorite tracks, so it's looking good ahead.
Charlotte's your favorite track. I would be a bit terrified considering how you went at Atlanta. I'd be very terrified to see how you do at Charlotte, considering it's pretty much the at least Atlanta 2008 specifically, that being the quad oval layout. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure. But before we go ahead and let you go celebrate your second place finish, go ahead and give any shout outs that you'd like.
Yeah, my family, you for doing the broadcast, league admins for putting the show on, race control for watching over us, fans for watching. Hope I'm not forgetting anybody. Oh, repeat, my spotter, can't forget him. Amazing job. Thank you.
And we thank you for your time as well. We hope to talk to you again next week. And that is race. Nope. See, I'm still in that habit, and you know what? I'm gonna drag in Cameron Sarton here. I nearly said that's your race winner, Brian McCann. I am still thrown off by this, if that says anything. But Cameron Sarton, the race winner here at Dover, just hands down. I had noticed this last week at Motegi as well, after the pit stops, where you started to slowly close the gap between yourself and McCann. But if I remember correctly, there weren't necessarily enough laps left. But this race, oh my goodness, you just put a thrashing on everybody and put pretty much all but both of you a lap down, which is something I never thought I would see, while also simultaneously going caution free. I mean, any words for that whatsoever?
Yeah, it was quite the race. Dover's one of the tracks that just kind of is a natural fit for me. I like to drive off the right rear, and if you can do that here, it's a big benefit. So I knew I have had the speed the last 2 weeks, but I've had two speeding penalties, an internet issue, and finally put a race together where I could kind of show what I got. So and that was the outcome. So it was nice, pretty much stress free the entire time, and luckily it went green. I was praying that there was no caution that was to come out because there's guys loose and wrecking everywhere into the pits. So luckily it didn't, and got home the dub.
Very intriguing that you say you want to drive off the right rear. Meanwhile, Brian McCann had said his right rear tire pretty much almost exploded by the time he got into pit road. So, what was with your methods for car control aside from I did notice actually on the before the first round of pit stops, you were coasting actually a little bit to get the those extra 3 laps you did, I believe. I might be mixing up the
Yeah.
pit strategies a little bit, but I think it was the initial first 3 extra laps, and I was thinking, well, okay, Brian McCann's come out ahead on this, and then you just ran him down. So clearly you're doing something right.
Yeah, I was. Well, I thought I didn't really pay attention to fuel, and I saw that I had basically 82 in the tank to go an entire green flag run, and so I started to save a little bit to try and make it a one stop, and I realized that I had a pretty good little hot rod under me. So I was like, there's really no point in doing that. So I was really just managing the gap, saving fuel. I wasn't really trying to pull ahead. And then I saw him pit, and I was like, you know what? Let's just go. He's the guy to beat. The one stopper guys make it all the way. It's pretty impressive in itself. So I'll pit with him. A few laps later, got the tire advantage, and then just took off. So it's a happy medium with the right rear here. Mine was killed too. But you gotta save the right front to get it. I felt like I gained a lot into the corner, but out if you can just manage, you're almost turning with the gas pedal other than the steering wheel. I was telling Tony, so if you can manage that, you got a pretty good advantage.
That is the main thing as well. So I think I asked this last week. Gosh, I hope I didn't. But if I did, well, we have the question again. Going into the Red Bull Ring for next week, Do you even know what the track looks like?
I know the track looks like.
Okay, that's good.
I don't know if I've ever raced on it other than like a Kia Optima on this thing. So
Oh my gosh.
this should be fun.
That's a car and a track combination a Kia Optima. I know it's still on the iRacing server, but a Kia Optima, Cameron.
Long time ago.
Oh my goodness, man, he's not kidding. Well, before we go ahead and let you go, celebrate your race win. Go ahead and shout out who gets it done for you in that number one.
Yeah, shout out to mom, dad, grandma for staying up and watching on the broadcast. Hello. My dog, he ate half my dinner tonight, so he was outside the entire night. Travis for putting on yourself up in the booth, and teammate John at Ghost Racing. So hopefully we can keep the trend going.
Hopefully that will be the case going into next week. Congratulations once again.
Thanks, man.
A Kia Optima. For context, for anyone who is wondering why Kia Optima is in iRacing, the last time a Kia Optima, I think the Kia Optima in iRacing is one of the original cars of the iRacing service, like 2007, 2008 original. I could be wrong with that. I might be confusing that with the Jetta, which is also one of the OG iRacing cars, which I think has since been retired from like active competition, but you can still run it. But a Kia Optima, I still have no words for that. Words that I do have though is the schedule and the updated, slightly updated graphic where we finally got the ABC format. It's just Brian decided to win twice in a row. So it's A, B, B, C. You know what? At this rate, we might have Chris Chavez Esri win next week at the Red Bull Ring. We might as well just to keep that pattern going. Actually, you know what? There have to be two more drivers with C as their first name. So Corey, Chris, you might want to study the next two races quite carefully. But going into next week, regardless, it is the Red Bull Ring for 41 laps. It might be, as far as I'm aware, it might be a caution-free race just by default, solely because iRacing does not do cautions on road courses. If anything does change in the meantime, in cases of that, I will let everyone know at the start of the broadcast of next week. But we still have Michigan and Iowa to get through for the rest of this month. But luckily, we do have your championship positions, provisional championship standings as well, with updated numbers or updated indicators in terms of pluses and minuses. Woo! It looks like it actually has properly applied, which is good. So Tony Brett and Brian McCann still remain first and second on the championship standings. Cameron Sarton with his win plus stage win. It's not including the stage win for the plus points, which is very interesting. I do want to double check something really quickly. Now, I'll do that after the race. That should, hypothetically, take the stage points into account. And you know what? We will do a fun test together just to see if that is the case. Where is Mr. Cameron Sarton in our graphic? Let's see if this does apply. If Cameron Sarton shoots up to first place, then that means that does work. Hey, look, it does work. Cool. That is good to know. So that does work. Okay, so that does take stage points into account. It just does not show stage points have been added, apparently. But Sarton has moved up 4 positions to third place in the championship standings. Lovelace and Karsten, as a result, fall back 1 position each. Travis Start, luckily, in pretty good hands, I would say. He is tied with Michael Thorpe Jr., who had dropped a couple positions. Both those drivers had, again, a literal run-in with pit barrels, a la Matt Kenseth. Same with Chris Chavez Essery as well, where I never thought that would happen. Ryan Lynch, Philip Chavez, Brian Johnson, William Duff, Jared Claude do not change positions, but they do add to their points tally. The 2 points between Duff and Claude are going to be something to keep an eye on as we get closer and closer to the playoff standings. It will be the top 12 that will be vying for the top 12 positions for the playoffs. Jonathan Burt, Larry Griffin, Corey Moore all had a really good race this week, as all 3 of them gain a collective 10 positions separated between both of those drivers. Pfluger was not here this week. Same goes for Trey Jackson, Doug Pierce, Heberly Telemac. John Dart was here, had to retire early, but does get some points nonetheless. Medlin, McConnell, Souza, Bill Dart, and Sam Siegel did not race this week, and they will all lose one position as a result. But those are your provisional championship standings going into the Red Bull Ring next week. And this is the part where I wish so much that I had B-roll for the Red Bull Ring, because it is a track and a half. It is absolutely amazing. I would like to say the fastest track on the F1 calendar, solely because the lap time is, if I remember correctly, about 1 minute 5 seconds average. So they go around there pretty quickly. So taking a heavy, I think 3,000 pound stock car is going to be quite intriguing. And you know what? Might do a track tour for that one, more in depth going into the Red Bull Ring. But so far, that does it for tonight's event here at Dover Motor Speedway. The Tim Watson Racing Setups 170 at Dover, more specifically. You can find any and all information and links to Butt Kicker, On the Throttle, and Team Watson Racing Setups in the description below, should you choose to have any interest and express any interest into their products and or podcast, if in the case of On the Throttle. This has been the Full Send Racing series here from the Dover Motor Speedway on the Racing Line Network. And we will see you all next week at the Red Bull Ring in Austria.